G'day folks and welcome to the Vookcast, Australia's Nintendo podcast. My name's Oliver Brandt and in this episode I'm joined by Marco Goncalves,
Hey team.
Angelo Valdivia,
Get bent, paisanos.
and Luke Henderson.
Hello there.
We've got a great episode lined up for you, all about a new re-release of a classic GBA game, a very late update, a strange new accessory, and a brand new entry in a very old series. But first, let's talk about Nintendo Switch Online, as we always do. Because Nintendo's actually been pretty consistent with Nintendo Switch Online updates in the past few months. So the most recent one is that a trio of Densetsu no Starfy games were added to the GBA service on Nintendo Switch Plus expansion pack. So it's Densetsu no Starfy 1, 2, and 3. These are all original. These are all the original Japanese versions of the game. So they never came to the West. There's no English translation, so these aren't translated. But you can get through most of them just fine without knowing Japanese. It's like a few cutscenes and stuff that is in Japanese, but it's not that big of a deal.
Stuff is not known for its epic storytelling, so you probably do.
There's
I
some
heard
dialogue.
Starfy described once as if Kirby's too difficult for you, Starfy's what you play.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part. This brings the GBA library up to 22 in Japan and 20 in the West, which I think it's worth noting that 20 is how much the NES and SNES launched with each. So, we're finally up to launch numbers for GBA. Which, yeah, I mean, it's good that these games are here, but I feel like GBA in particular has been gotten really the short end of the stick on NSO because there are so many GBA games. It's hard to overstate just how many there are. Obviously not as much as DS, but there's a lot of GBA games, and most of them aren't there, which is really unfortunate.
Clearly, one GBA game is worth 10 NES games. That's how it works.
Well, yeah, I mean, apparently.
That's how this economy runs.
But yeah, I mean, the GBA emulator is very, very good. The Game Boy emulation in general is quite good. And you can even make it so you have ghosting and stuff as you would on original Game Boy and Game Boy Advance screens, which is a choice, but people like to play like that. But yeah, I mean, these are good games.
Yeah, I just like that Nintendo's done this a handful of times now, where they've taken games that never released outside of Japan and just put them on the apps for people to play. Some of them obviously, are a little more challenging than others, but most of them are fine. So it's just nice that they're doing it.
Honestly, it would be very funny if that's how we got Mother 3 officially for the first time. It's just a Japanese language just drop on the NSO. See,
I'd like to say they should do it, just so it shuts these people up. That are all, Mother 3. But even if they ported it to Switch, dedicated, full translation, didn't remake it, just 100% port over, people would still complain about something. So
because they'd be asking for Mother 4.
Yeah.
We'll just quickly go on to the next story as well, because that wasn't the only Nintendo Switch Online games that were added since we last recorded, which was over a month ago at this point. There were also 7 NES titles. So they are Urban Champion, Golf, Donkey Kong Jr. Math, Mark Rider, The Mystery of Atlantis, which is a previously Japanese exclusive game, Solar Jetman, and Cobra Triangle, which is actually the biggest drop of games outside of a launch, having 7 at once.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a couple hundred games on Nintendo Switch Online now across all of the different platforms, which is good.
I love that one NES drop is almost half as many GBA games total.
Yeah. And it's more games than what the GBA had at launch, right? Because the GBA started with 6, right?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I don't know.
Something like that. If it's not more, it's at least close to it. But yeah, I mean, I thought we'd pretty much tapped out on NES games, but obviously there are still a whole bunch more to go. So
I feel these are rare, so there's a whole lot more rare games that I say we mean rareware or rare LTD, depending on what you want to call them. So maybe there'll be more coming from them.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, the important thing is that Urban Champion is the worst fighting game anyone has ever played. So
I think we should also mention the fact that golf is now back on the Switch, because it was there, many moons ago for that hack that people were doing that was built into the system for some reason.
Flog.
And now, now they took it away, and now they brought it back. But now you have to pay for it.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's good that these games are here. And I'd much prefer this to the next story that I have, which we'll get into in a second. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't really play a lot of NSO games anymore, just because I have like so many other games to play. But I appreciate knowing that they're there at least. Like, it's always fun when there are new games, and sometimes I do check them out. I think the only games that I've actually like completed in full on NSO is Banjo-Kazooie and the Oracle games, the Zelda Oracle games. But still fun that they're there. I appreciate that.
I did The Adventures of Lolo on the NES because I love that game, and then the sequel was only they didn't put it on the English one, but it's in the Japanese one. So I ended up playing the sequel there because I love all three of those games. So.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed though that like we are still going so slowly with GBA, because like there are some like Nintendo published GBA games that I would really love to have on there. Like DK King of Swing was a game that I enjoyed a lot when I was younger, so having that there would be nice. The original Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which like there's obviously a better version. I mean, not on Switch technically because cloud. But there's a better version on other platforms. But, the GBA version is still quite fun. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're getting more into licensed titles. And really hoping that we see a lot more of those going forward as well.
I mean, I'll bring it up again, but there's a few rare GBA games like Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge. That would be nice to have. Sort of complete the Nintendo Banjo games, so
yeah, that's a really weird game though. Like I liked it
100%.
when I was younger, but like I don't know if it's good or if I just liked Banjo-Kazooie when I was younger, right? Like
probably the latter of those two statements.
I mean, I enjoyed it more than Banjo-Tooie, which I'm a big Banjo-Tooie hater, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's nice that they and I was talking with during the week with Vooks about this. Nintendo went having no releases for months at a time, and then we had 3 drops 2 weeks apart. We had a drop 2 weeks later. We had a drop 2 weeks later. We had a drop. We started out with 5 Mega Man games, then 7 NES games, and then 3 GBA games in the space of 6 weeks, which is for Nintendo an insane release cadence. So
yeah. I do feel like we're finally back to having an actual regular release schedule. I mean, we don't know exactly when it is, but
I think this entire year has just really proven how unpredictable Nintendo is as a whole. It's just so much randomness this year that I'm just like, okay, whatever. What the hell do I know?
Yeah, I mean, and we'll get into that later as well with something that nobody really expected was going to happen. But yeah, Nintendo is really, I don't know, it feels like end of console era Nintendo, right? Like where they've had all these things that they've kind of just been like putting off for a while. And then they're just like, let's just get it out as quickly as we can because we need people to stay engaged with the Switch ahead of the next console. Yeah. I mean,
I can think of a couple of games that would keep people engaged with the Switch, but I don't know.
Who knows, Michael? Who knows? I mean, if they can announce a game and then like release it the next month, as with the game that we'll talk about later, then anything's possible, right? Like we could get to January and be like, hey, next month we're getting, Wind Waker HD. It's not going to happen because I have a feeling we're just going to get to the end of the console cycle and just not have them. But I really want you to get your predictions right this time.
If they announce it in the next year, I'm gonna be so fucking angry.
Yeah. And speaking of GBA games, though, one of my favorite GBA games is coming to the Switch. Probably. They haven't actually announced platforms. But WayForward and Limited Run Games are teaming up to bring the classic WayForward GBA game Sigma Star Saga to modern platforms, using what LRG calls its Carbon engine, which is just straight up an emulator. They're not like porting it or whatever, right? It is just an emulator. So Sigma Star Saga is a weird game. It's kind of a unique sci-fi RPG where you like go around the world and like as a regular top-down RPG, but like you get into a battle and instead of going into like, you know, a turn-based combat scene or whatever, it's a side-scrolling shoot 'em up style battle. It's really, really interesting. And I think, I don't know, it's definitely not what I would call a great game, but it's a unique game at the very least. And I had a lot of fun with it when I was a kid. So yeah, it'll be available on modern platforms, which could be Switch or could be Switch 2. Who knows? As well as on a GBA reproduction cart at some point in 2025.
Which is wild to consider there'll be a new Game Boy Advance cart released in 2025.
Well, they specifically call it Game Boy Advance compatible, which
yeah.
I guess they can't really pretend that they're using actual Game Boy Advance cards. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for this one, but I wish it wasn't through LRG because, like, again, it's just an emulator. It's just an emulator that like hooks into like the control systems that Switch uses. And
I think as far as like
systems,
physical media, I think GBA is probably one of the most easily clonable systems on the fucking planet. You can buy like those one game cards from like AliExpress for like a few dollars. So it's a pretty easy slam dunk for them.
Well, that's the thing as well, is that like GBA repro cards are like so common that like buying, like you can't buy a Pokemon game and guarantee that it's legitimate.
God,
like it is
no,
not
impossible.
So
some of those cards have also gotten so sophisticated, I'll say, that when you even open them up and compare them to a legitimate card, the insides look almost identical nowadays.
Yeah, there's like a few like key signs that it's not what it looks like, but yeah, for the most part, it can be really, really difficult.
I still have a core memory of getting burned from an eBay purchase of Fire Red, like back in like 2004, 2005 or something like that.
That's what I mean. Like, it was happening back then. Like it's way more prevalent now.
And I was trying to dispute it, and I sent photo evidence to eBay and the seller and everything, and the guy just laughed me off. I was like, "No, man, it's an American version," and I was just getting so mad. I'm like, that is not a thing.
Yeah,
it is not an argument in this case. Here's all the proof, and I got nothing happened. I'm still.
I love when somebody tried to sell a copy of Oracle of Ages for GBA.
Yeah. There's a few.
I saw that and I was like, hang on, did that actually get a port? And then like I had to think long and hard about if it actually was a real thing. And then I remembered it wasn't. And I was like, yeah. But so many people try and do that stuff.
Yeah. Well, there were people like just straight up selling ROM hacked versions of GBA games on eBay as well. I remember there was like, I can't remember what the version was called. There was a Pokemon version and it had freaking Chaos from Sonic on the cover. It's like Pokemon something. Literally, it had a completely different character from a video game. And they were still selling.
That's amazing.
Nuts.
But yeah, so like my biggest issue with like this being an LNG thing is that like it's like it could be out tomorrow, right? Like they've already got GBA games, like they've already got their GBA emulator on the Switch. It's a pretty simple case of dropping it in and updating the metadata for the game, but because you know they have to do their physical release and like charge people $150 plus like $300,
then delay it 3 times,
delay it 3 times, right? Like it means that like it's not going to be 2020, it's not going to be until 2025. It could be even later than 2025 until we get this, and like there's even no guarantee really that they're going to release it digitally. They usually do, but like there's no guarantee that it's going to happen. So yeah, it's frustrating, but you know, this is the world that we live in, where these kinds of smaller games don't get released unless a company like LRG does do that.
I will call out LRG for one thing. When they work with a bigger
just
company,
one?
like No, but when they work with a company like Electronic Arts, when they did the Dead Space and Star Wars collector's editions, like those shipped instantaneously. Like they were out, people got those the day the game came out in stores elsewhere. And then when they did the Jurassic Park game collection, there was another one they did recently, but those were out digitally, and then they came physically a lot later, or a few months later. So when they work with somebody who's actually got money and a spine and tells them to do it, or else too bad, they're pretty good at sticking to those things. But when they're left to their own devices, which is pretty much almost every other time, that's when they LRG themselves. So
I also just I think it's kind of bullshit, like them calling it like some kind of engine, as if like Carbon Engine is anything other than like a customized like open source engine emulator that they've just like hooked into modern systems. Like it's not. It's just an emulator. And like when you buy LRG releases like on Steam or whatever, like it ships the ROM with the emulator, so you can just pull it out and put it in any other emulator as well. So yeah, it's a bit frustrating in that regard, but that's marketing for you. But yeah, I am excited.
LRG are masters at it. It's the same way that EA and 2K every year with their mainline sports games come out and say this is the best one. It's the most authentic sports game ever. It's like, yeah, but you said that last year and the year before and the year before. It's the same with Apple. I don't know if you guys remember years and years and years ago when the Retina display came out. Apple made this big to-do about this is the best screen we've ever made because this is exactly what your eye can see. The human eye can only see so much, and we've made a screen that delivers that exact same amount of information. And now, 10 years later, they're still coming up with new ways to say this screen's better. And it's like, our eyes didn't get better. So what, So yeah, the marketing side of things, unfortunately, is what they run off of. Because let's face it, some of their releases, their Carbon Engine releases, haven't been that great. The quality of the games inside and the lack of anything else apart from those games is not that great. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Is like I would rather WayForward had like licenses to Nintendo through Nintendo Switch Online because like Nintendo's GBA emulator is better than anything that the Carbon Engine can deliver. And I would much rather have it there, even if I had to pay for it. Like I would rather have it through Nintendo. But that's not where we are. Anyway, let's move on to another like weird Nintendo thing that like nobody really cared about or expected. Basketball is in Nintendo Switch Sports now. Why? Nobody really knows. It comes 2 years after the game was first released and 20 months after the last update, which was adding golf, came out. So yeah, there's basketball now. Like I don't understand what's the point of releasing basketball in Nintendo Switch Sports like 2 years after the fact? Like all of the families who played it, like they're not coming back to Switch Sports, right? Like it's not happening. And like the people who actually know that it's there don't really give a shit either. Like why is this a thing?
It wouldn't surprise me if this is something that Nintendo had completed a year and a half ago and then just forgot that they'd done it. And then when they were going through their list of completed projects, they went, oh shit. So they just threw it in the direct to get it out the door. It wouldn't surprise me if that's literally what it was.
Yeah, it's like when you try to schedule an email and then you accidentally set the wrong time and it doesn't send or whatever. And someone at Nintendo is just like, oh damn, this just never released. Quick, push the submit button now.
So I actually had this with a parcel once. I had a parcel that was meant to get shipped to me at the end of, I think it was the end of 2019. And it just never arrived. Like it was just like, it got picked up from the seller and just nothing. Same other, I'm like, yeah, it looks like it's lost. We'll send you a new one. They sent me a new one. Bing, bang, boom. Then 1 year later, it started to be processing. And it's because the guy set the ship date to the next year. So they literally just held it for an entire year and then shipped it to me. I remember messaging the guy and be like, hey, I just want to be honest. So this item that you sent me a year ago just got shipped to me. Like, I feel like this is the mistake. He's like, yeah, just keep it. It's fine. I'm just like, it's absolutely wild that this is, I think, through DHL. The DHL just kept the parcel for a year. And they're like, yeah, we're going to honor this. This guy said to ship it in 2020 and we're going to do it.
That's like some Back to the Future 3 stuff.
That's what I was thinking. It's very
totally.
100%
that. I was so surprised.
That's amazing. I mean, like Nintendo has done this before, though, right? Like they did the online multiplayer update for Mario Party, like where it just came out. 2 years later. 2 years later, it's like, what are we doing here?
I mean,
that's another for Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's another perfect example of like just the unpredictability of Nintendo. Like no one would have ever predicted that 2 years later Super Mario Party will get an online update. It's just a completely insane thing to do.
That one I think is like a case of Nintendo like was testing online multiplayer in Super Mario Party for the subsequent release of Mario Party Superstars.
Yeah, I guess.
Yep.
I think that's what happened, right? Is that they were using that as a test bed for the online play, and then they're like, "Well, we've already got it. We may as well just release it, right?" Like, but yeah, it's still.
But that's what's bananas about it. Is that like any other company would just put that in the product itself, like the upcoming game, and then fix it like with a patch or something like that. Like it's nuts that they would just add it as a feature to a 2-year-old game already that no one's already not playing. Negative that no one is already playing.
Yeah. It's super weird. And yeah, Nintendo does stuff like this all the time. Like we know that like there are some games as well that they sit on for like years. And I guess that's just like every other company is like struggling to get games out the door in like an acceptable state, right? Like every other company is like barely having a finished game when they print their discs. And Nintendo was out here like finishing things like a year ahead of time and like releasing updates to games like 2 years later that nobody asked for and nobody is playing anymore. It's just like Nintendo was just operating on a whole different level to every other developer, for better and for worse.
There was that Pikmin game on 3DS or something that was just on their
Hey
shelf.
Pikmin?
Yeah, it was like a year or two just sitting there. Like they didn't release it. Like, yeah, it's done. They even said it in an interview in like 2015 or something. Like, yeah, the game's finished. It's like, are we gonna play it? Like, cool. Why did you make a game if you didn't release it?
Yeah, because the eShop data for that was like uploaded in like 2014 or something, and it was
something like that. Yeah,
the files were just like sitting on the eShop for like 2 years.
It was just for years, just sitting on someone's like desktop.
Yeah,
I've said it before, and we all agree here. But Nintendo is gonna Nintendo. It's the best way to explain that Nintendo will do whatever the hell they want, whenever the hell they want.
Oh, I just don't think they just operate on a plane of time that the rest of like the universe does. They just.
Here's a great example for you: Nintendo being weird. So we all know Nintendo are bringing its store to San Francisco, their Nintendo official store, and we knew it was going to be in like downtown San Francisco, and people were like, okay, it's a bit weird, but whatever. The other day, they confirmed where its location will be. It's inside of a hotel. It's in the lobby of a hotel.
That's so crazy.
Cool. Yeah. But I mean, like, this is also the company that like was like, oh yeah, we're just going to release Xenoblade Chronicles 3 4 months early.
But I feel like the issue with Nintendo is that they do these things right, and then they're successful, and that's their fuel. They'd be like, oh, obviously we're doing the right thing. Like we did it, and it was great, and everyone loved it. I don't know. I guess it works. Going to continue doing it. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And that's the thing, right? Is that like Nintendo often doesn't understand its own success, right? It doesn't understand that like when these things are successful, they're successful because it's good and people want it, not because it was randomly released like, 2 months beforehand or like 3 years later, right? Like, yeah, it's a victim of its own hubris, I guess, Nintendo. Like it just does not understand why it's successful, but still just is successful because
this is
good
the
products.
Exact reason why Switch 2, whatever the fuck it's going to be called, scares me so much because like it could be anything at this point. There's going to be some wacky decision. I can't wait for it.
They're just the completely chaotic video game company, right? Just absolute chaos. Just anything could happen. It's bananas. It might suck real hard, or maybe it's decent. Who knows? Maybe we'll get it months early. Maybe we'll get it in 5 years. Whatever, man. Whatever happens.
And we'll all buy it because we're all dumb.
That's true. Back on Switch Sports, so the basketball thing, I gave it a go. When was it? Monday or Tuesday? And it's not great. It's so slow.
It's
It's like playing basketball with lead weights around your feet. It wouldn't make sense to do it. They did this with soccer. They put soccer in there, but soccer's a slower paced game because it's such a spread out thing. And it kind of works here, but the basketball just doesn't work. Soccer traditionally can be very fast paced, but with 2 players on the field, or 4 players on the field, it's a bit slower. It just doesn't work.
I feel like if they're going to promo like this game, especially so tied to motion controls, they really need to look at like what games really well translate really well into motion controls. And basketball, some parts of it do, but like the other parts, like, you know, the running and, you know, doing literally anything else but shooting doesn't for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, like, just like on Nintendo being weird again, like the fact that like 20 months ago we got golf added, and then like not long after we got the Mario Golf game on Switch. Like, why would you do that, right? Like, that was already announced. The golf game was announced.
Like a perfect example of what you just talked about before. Like, they made golf on this to test it, to see if they can make a golf game, even though they've made 700 previous Mario Golf games.
and golf on Wii Sports already when it first came out in 2006.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. And then, like, talking about more weird stuff, we'll go into our next topic as well. So, you know, some 7 and change years since Nintendo.
Oh my god, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
Nintendo has announced a new official way to charge your Joy-Con without the console. It's called the Joy-Con charging stand (parentheses 2-way close parentheses). That's very important, apparently. Now, this isn't the first charging stand to exist, because there have been charging stands from third parties since the Switch released, basically
7 years
day 1.
ago. Yes.
Yeah. But it's the first from Nintendo itself, so this is the one that it's actually making itself. It'll be available for about $40. I think it's $39 on JB Hi-Fi, so it might be a bit more on EB. I don't know if the listing is up yet. And it's coming out on October 17. But I think this is actually, you know, indicative of something that we could see for Switch 2. So this is something that Daniel mentioned in the Vook Slack, and probably tweeted about it, I think, as well. But this is a really good indicator that the Switch 2 will be compatible with Switch's controllers, but may not necessarily dock the Joy-Cons to Switch 2. So this is the company coming out with a way to charge your Joy-Cons without having a Switch, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you've got something that isn't a Switch that can use Joy-Cons.
There's plenty about this whole thing that doesn't make sense.
Well, no, but like, it does make sense if the Switch 2 supports Joy-Cons but can't dock them, because then you can't charge them, right?
I have no issue with the product itself. I have issue with the way it's designed, which is just bonkers. Like, who saw this and was like, yeah, this is cool, like 100%. Let's have this USB-C cable coming out the top. What the fuck are you doing?
I think the top part is like solely just so you can use it while, like, you can charge while you're playing. Right, like,
you know what this is? This is literally the charging grip that they released day 1 alongside the Switch that nobody ever used. You got one in the box, but then they sold the second one with the charging option. That's what this is, just without the little plastic bits to sit behind your Joy-Con.
But like, here's the thing, right? Nintendo didn't make the charging grip. It was definitely licensed by Nintendo, and it was like one of the official accessories at launch, but they didn't make it. It was actually made by Hori.
Yeah, no, but I think that's kind of what we're kind of getting at in spirit, is that like it should have just been a Nintendo product from the get-go. Like, you should have just been able to use the grip and charge your controllers through it. Like,
for sure.
It's just a no-brainer. Every other company would have done that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
what an absolute monkey's paw of a product.
Yeah, it's weird, and like we don't know how exactly it attaches to like the stand part. Like, is there just like a thing? Like, does it fold up? Like, what? How does it work? Like, the pictures don't give you anything.
I imagine it's just
like I think it just
slidey thing. You just
clicks onto it.
Weird, like a different rail on the back.
But yeah, I think this is like 100% a Switch 2 response, in that like they want people to still use their Joy-Cons, and they want to still sell Joy-Cons. Because as soon as they announce like the Switch 2 and it doesn't support Joy-Cons, people are going to stop buying them, because they're like, well, I can't use it. I can't charge it if I get rid of my Switch and buy a Switch 2. So this is like something that, you know, allows them to still sell Joy-Cons in the interim, because there's an official charging solution. And they will probably have some that are bundled with the thing. And like, yeah.
What is also nuts about this though is that it's $39. $39.
Yeah.
What? It is less plastic than the grip, and that came with your console for free.
Do we know if this has the battery built into it as well, or is this?
It does not have the battery. It does not.
Okay, it's purely charging. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Radio.
$40, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the thing is like, there's enough room there to like definitely fit a battery that's twice as big as both Joy-Cons' battery capacity.
Yeah.
But
if Nintendo had have made this to be one of those things where you could have a battery, charge it up, and then you put your Joy-Cons on, and it was for, people with bigger hands, kind of like the Hori sort of stuff, but like a Nintendo attempt at it, I'd have been fine with it. But they already have multiple ways of charging the Joy-Con. Like, they have their own way. They've got 100 third-party accessories that do it. This product didn't need to exist. And I get if they're trying to future-proof for Switch 2, fine, whatever. But it's like, then launch this when Switch 2 launches. Launching it now just makes no sense. It's just confusing everyone, and it doesn't actually give anyone a reason to buy it.
I think the biggest thing I hate about the Joy-Cons and this and a whole lot of the Joy-Con accessories for the most part is that, like, the Joy-Cons are just such an ergonomic nightmare, and this setup is just absolutely awful. Like, no one can hold this comfortably no matter what your hand size is. It's just, they should have killed this a long time ago.
Yeah. But, it's a thing that exists now. I mean, I don't know. Nintendo is Nintendo.
So far, most of the things we've talked about today to do with Nintendo have been real bottom of the barrel things. Like, this really feels like the last year of the system. Just like, get all of our junk out now. Clear it.
It better be the last year of the system.
Get it out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, let's transition to something that is, something Nintendo did that is objectively good.
Yeah. A different type of bottom of the barrel, but not for Nintendo.
Yeah. So Nintendo has stripped the Splatoon 3 World Championships winning team, which is called Jackpot, of its title and won't be sending out trophies to them. After members of the team were found to have said a number of highly offensive and racist things. So here's a statement from Nintendo that they posted on Twitter. It says, "It has come to our attention that certain members of Team Jackpot, the team that recently won the Splatoon 3 World Championships, acted in a manner that is not in line with our community guidelines while playing the Splatoon 3 game. As a result, Team Jackpot's win will be considered vacated, and the team will not receive the trophies associated with the event." So, yeah, we're not going to go over what was said, but it was basically like as racist as a person can be online.
We discussed it in our private chat, and I remember being, oh man, it gets so much worse the more you scroll down. It's fucking awful. Don't look it up. Just trust us that it's bad.
Yeah. So yeah, it was very, very, very offensive and very, very racist. So yeah, it's a good thing that Nintendo has done this, especially because people didn't expect Nintendo to really do much about this. Maybe like quietly just like not send the trophies out or something. But the fact that they actually came out and made a statement and saying, hey, this kind of behavior isn't okay. Teams that do this will not get recognition.
And it's not Nintendo of America that made this decision, because Nintendo of Japan also kicked the team out from their East versus West thing for harassing people.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good that Nintendo is actually, doing something about this. Because I think in the past Nintendo has kind of just been a bit hands off with these kinds of things, where like they've privately said like, okay, well, you're not going to compete in the future. Like we see it all the time with a Pokemon competitive, where if something happens in Pokemon competitive that is like harassment or cheating or whatever, the players are just kicked out. They're not really given a reason. Everybody kind of has to like figure it out for themselves, and there's no public statement made or anything like that. I think this is definitely a very different move from Nintendo, to like publicly announce that this is what we're doing, this is why. So yeah, it's good that they're doing that, but like, man, you see stuff like this and it's like, I don't know. Nintendo has always been like really hesitant to foster a competitive community. And then when they actually do try to do that, they have to like kick out the winners of this for like horrible racism and stuff. It's like, man, I can't blame them for not wanting to be involved with competitive communities, because like there's always like real shit people involved in competitive gaming.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just kind of sucks that like when they do actually go all in, because like Splatoon is huge. Like people don't really realize how big it is, especially in Japan. If you go to Japan, as I was recently, like there's Splatoon stuff everywhere. Like half of the Nintendo store in Skytree is like just filled with Splatoon stuff. It's
Yep.
like huge. So Nintendo like does care about the success of Splatoon and does care about the competitive community behind it. But yeah, I mean, stuff like this is just going to make it harder for Nintendo to want to do it in the future.
This is also the third instance inside of 12 months, because, you know, last year there was a Splatoon 3 player that was threatening Nintendo staff and all that, which caused Nintendo Live Tokyo 2024 to be cancelled, which is why the whole Nintendo Splatoon World Championships got delayed a few months. So it's a roll-on effect. And that guy recently, he was just last week or the week before, was sentenced to a year in prison for those threats.
Yeah.
So, you know, Japan took that stuff seriously.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad they made the statement, and I'm glad that they did something about it, because, you know, there were like people were talking about it, right? Like I think that's part of the reason that Nintendo actually said something, is because people were talking about it. It was a kind of a big story in the Splatoon community. And everybody was like, well, Nintendo's not doing anything. They're not doing enough about this. Which at the time, yeah, they weren't. But now they've done something, which is good. I really hope that it doesn't like prevent the company from, you know, doing stuff in the future, right? Like we've seen how they've kind of wasted the goodwill that they earned with Smash, right? Because they were like, yeah, Smash Ultimate is out now, but nobody's allowed to do competitions for it except us, and we're also not going to do any competitions, which was a bit frustrating to see for people who are fans of that. But yeah, I really hope that this doesn't deter Nintendo from doing more competitive stuff in the future, because I feel like its games are really, really good, and it's, you know, they should be up there with all of the other competitive games, you know, getting attention and actually having some kind of community.
Yep.
But yeah.
I mean, we've got our championships here in Australia at Nintendo Live in like a month's time, so hopefully they're not the end.
Yeah, I mean, like, also shout out to Australia for not being the team that was horrible ultra racist. I mean, I don't want to speak too soon, but like, if you hear about like, oh,
shout out for not
team,
doing the bad thing.
You hear like, you know, Splatoon team like banned for racism, like your first thought's gonna be like, okay, well that's Australia. But yeah, it wasn't us this time.
How many of the Australian Splatoon team have Southern Cross tattoos? Let's just figure that out now.
and like, such is life across the necks.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully the Australian Championships go off without a hitch, and we don't have to revisit this story at any time in the future. But yeah. All right. Something else that is just Nintendo weird and crazy. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, Nintendo dropped this like really weird teaser. It was just like a dude with a paper bag on his head with like some spooky sounds and like, you know, video distortion and stuff. That said, "Who is Amio?"
It's also worth noting too, Ollie, that every Nintendo social account dropped it at the same time, which is unheard of.
Yeah, at the exact same time. Even Nintendo Australia posted it. Like every single regional account posted it, and then just didn't say anything for a week, which is like the most Nintendo thing ever. Like, just drop this weird teaser that nobody could possibly predict what it could be.
People tried,
and people sure did try. And then, yeah, a week later, they announced that it was a brand new Famicom Detective Club game. So it's called Emio the Smiling Man. It's a horror-themed investigative game that seems very spooky, and according to the Australian rating, has some pretty heavy themes to it. So it's rated MA 15 plus restricted, and has like
strong themes of violence and suicide references.
Yeah. So yeah. And the weirdest part is it's out next month. It's out August 29. And it is slightly cheaper than most Switch releases at $69.95. So Nintendo remade the first two Famicom Detective Club games last year.
Only Famicom Detective Club games.
Well, yeah. There's a third one now. But yeah, so it remade them. I think it was last year.
No, 2022.
2022. There you go. And we thought, that's it, right? Like, that's going to be all there is. A fun little, hey, we did this in the past. Now there's remakes. That's it. But no, there's just a whole new game. And it looks kind of great. But yeah, so weird.
This is one of those things that is definitely was never on anyone's bingo card for any year of Nintendo. No one could have ever predicted this. This is just absolutely crazy. I agree though. It looks cool. Looks cool as hell. Like if you enjoy those types of like visual novels / like detective-y type of adventure games, I've no doubt you'll enjoy it. Especially if you're into horror themes, which this looks very much geared towards that.
Yeah. Angelo, are you going to play Emio the Smiling Man?
Probably not.
That's fair.
No, I've never played anything in the series, so I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
The only thing I can tell you about it is the writer and director of this game is the same guy who produces the Metroid games, and he was the producer / co-director of Metroid Dread and all that. So he also created the games originally back on. He was the original designer on the games back on the NES. So
yeah. But yeah, I mean, what a strange thing to do. And I like, this is weird, right? And I feel sorry for bringing this up to Michael. But like,
oh god,
I don't know. I feel like you have like remakes of these two classic games, and then you make a new game. It feels a little bit of a waste that this is happening with Famicom Detective Club and not Advance Wars, which also got remakes of 1 or 2. But those came out last year, right? The 1+2 reboot camp. So maybe next year we'll get an announcement of a new game, because it took 2 years for this one to get an announcement.
I mean, WayForward are busy currently porting their game into Carbon Engine, so that's clearly why they're not doing this.
Yeah, but yeah, what a strange thing to do. And like, you're right, it is like a very like bottom of the barrel Nintendo get everything out the door kind of move, because like, I don't think anyone was asking for a new Famicom Detective Club game, right? Like, the first 2 games were like kind of good, and when they remade them, they were a bit better. But it was like, okay, we've done this now. We've got the Famicom Detective Club games. We can move on with our lives. But yeah, this is...
And the fact that this one's still called Famicom Detective Club is kind of, surreal.
Yeah.
So, I will say though...
Famicom Detective Club TM.
I will say though, it actually does have TM in the actual logo on the art. What I found interesting is this was announced, and 2 days later, Sunsoft revealed the first look and details for Gimmick, which is another NES game. So it released on the NES, and now Gimmick 2 is coming out this year. And it's like, we got Famicom Detective Club on the NES, and then its sequel comes out 30 odd years later. So in the space of 1 week, we got 2 sequels for 2 NES games. It's just like such a surreal thing.
But that's Nintendo, right? Like, there's no predicting it. As that has been like the through line of this episode, that there is no predicting Nintendo. And yeah, I mean, Famicom Detective Club in 2024. Who knew? Alrighty. One last story, and then we'll go into the games that we're playing. So there's a new Mario and Yoshi Lego set, and it is kind of amazing. It's based on the Super Mario World sprites of Mario riding Yoshi, and it has a little crank that you can turn. That makes it look like Yoshi is walking, and like Mario, like, his cape flaps and moves up and down, and it's really, really neat. It's got 1,215 pieces and will cost $199.99 when it releases on October 1.
There's actually two cranks, Ollie. There's a second one that makes Mario punch Yoshi's head, and his mouth moves up, and his tongue sticks out.
That's true. Yeah.
But
yeah, what a fantastic Lego set. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just really cute and cool. Michael,
this is what I wanted from Nintendo. I don't want the playsets. The playsets are fine, but the people who buy Lego are not 8-year-old kids. So the Lego playsets with the Mario figure and all that's for the kids. The people who actually pay for the Lego are the adults, and the adults don't want that stuff. They want this. They want the NES Lego. They want the Bowser's airship. They want the Mario 64 block. Right? They want stuff that looks cool and has actual meaning. And I'm very, very happy to see something like this, because this is what people have been wanting.
You heard it here first, listeners. Grown man says toys are not for children anymore.
I said Lego. Lego is not for children.
I was going to say, thankfully, Lego lets everybody know that adults are welcome to buy this.
I somewhat agree, though. I mean, I love most of the stuff that Lego and Nintendo have been collaborating on over the last few years. Like, they've really been kicking goals with some of these sets. I just wish I had space to buy and then put these, really, because they look amazing.
Yeah. The only one that I've purchased is the Lego NES, which is just awesome. Like, it's very, very cool. I like this one a lot. This is definitely this may be my second one, just because it's very, just like a straight art piece. Like, it's it's nice to look at.
That's how I feel about a lot of these kind of over the top Lego sets. They're just sculptures, little artistic sculptures that you can put on like a shelf or a mantle somewhere. Like, instead of buying a bust or a painting or something, something actually artistic and worth something, you just get these toys that just look kind of cool and put them on your shelf and show everyone how much of a nerd you are. It's great.
Yeah, so this is part of the Adults Welcome series, and this is where you get your things like the Concorde or a Harley Davidson motorbike, or your Andy Warhol wall art, but you use the flat little square ones. So, or the replica of the Guggenheim out of New York in Lego form. So all that stuff lives in this Adults series. I'm just happy they're doing more of it, because it looks cool. I don't think I'd get it just because I don't have space for it. But it's what I wanted from Lego and Nintendo for the longest time. So I'm happy to see it.
I'm just looking at the bottom of the video at the very end where it has all the trademark stuff. This is Lego and the Lego logo and the brick and knob configurations. What the hell is that?
It's the square bricks.
Actual.
Yeah. The knobs plot it into.
Oh, I mean the actual bricks.
The actual bricks.
Fuck. Okay.
So years ago,
somebody made on that.
Yeah, somebody made a replica of their own thing, like Mega Bloks-esque, and Lego sued them, and a judge said, no, you can't have that trademark. You can't trademark this layout of plastic brick, so Lego came out and said, okay, so they actually started putting Lego on all the little studs, and that's why that's now trademarked that way. But that's why there's so many of these fake Lego sets around now, is because a judge said Lego don't have the right to trademark that specific style of toy. So yeah, that's how it all came about.
Cool. Okay. So I learned, I guess.
Fucking law. It's the worst thing that's ever happened.
Just out of curiosity, because again, I don't know a whole lot about Lego and the way it distributes. These Lego sets, they're not especially limited, are they? Like, when stocks run out, they do sort of Oh, really? They are limited.
So Lego, they do it now. They do 2 production runs. They do basically one for Europe, one for North and South America, and they'll do one big run, and then they'll do one smaller subsequent run for backup supplies and stuff. But that's generally what they do. So unless it's like a regular kids set, all these big basically we'll say adult sets are literally one run and done. So like the Star Wars stuff, like the robots and the big ships, they're one and done. Once they're gone, they're gone. The NES was a one and done set. So now like on their website, it says hard to find, because they'll still have some stock, but they're not making anymore, which is the other issue with Lego, is they do this.
Right, because I had wondered, because I do sometimes look and I do sometimes see these sets that have come out years ago, like these Nintendo ones even that have come out 3-4 years ago. or whenever, and they'll still be available in Lego stores. I'm like, these haven't sold out yet, and so I just figured that they probably are remaking them for X amount of years that they have the license for.
No, unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
And one and done. It's just it is lucky that years after the fact that you still can find them, because they are quite large runs initially that they do. So that is nice, but my local Toy World, which I still have a Toy World, that's fun. Has one of the NES and one of the Big Bowser. But the question mark block, they sold that one 2 or 3 months ago, and that's never coming back. Which is unfortunate because I did kind of want that one, but
that's the one that I want the most. The NES one is cool, but I really want the question block because I love Bob on Battlefield so much.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I probably won't buy this again. I'm, the thing is, we're all collectors of one thing or another, or just have a lot of stuff, right? And having something on the shelf like this, it's it just takes up space that could be used for things that are actually of major interest to us. And yeah, in this case, it's exactly the same as that. I just don't have the space for it. I've got a couple other Lego sets that I haven't even built. I have a bunch of Zoids that I haven't built, and Gundams as well that realistically they're probably not going to get built until I get more shelves, and then it's where do I put shelves? So yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, unfortunately just not enough space. But
yeah,
it's super cool.
I love the Lego, but yeah, some of it's too expensive and some of it's just too big.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. All right, let's move on to the games we're playing, because we haven't actually done that in quite some time. So I'll start off because mine are kind of boring. I have been playing the Marvel Rivals beta for work. It's basically just, Overwatch before it went shit. I will say that
just triggered a memory. Go.
Just say don't mention that word.
Yeah. So yeah, Marvel Rivals. My biggest issue with it is that the onboarding experience is real rough. You get a 2-minute tutorial that is just here's how you do the super basic stuff, and then it's all right, now time to go into a match with a character that you've never played and just figure it out. Which is fine, I guess. But when you've got a hero shooter and it's kind of that focused on playing specific characters and finding the ones that you like, not having any kind of tutorial or anything for other characters is kind of bad. The other one that I've been playing is One Piece Odyssey on Nintendo Switch, because that came out a couple days ago.
Yeah, and
it's a totally fine port. It runs okay, it looks okay. It's the classic Bandai Namco thing of making a game for PS4 and Xbox One and then, porting it over to Switch 3 years later or whatever. In this case, it was only 18 months. But
yeah, I think we say 18 months is their normal time frame.
Yeah,
for these things. But yeah,
so yeah, it's good. If you like One Piece, you'll like this.
I don't know anyone on this chat that likes One Piece, so
it's just
I like One Piece. I've been reading the manga. It's great.
Yeah, but yeah. So One Piece Odyssey is very good. It's made by Ilka, who made Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but they also helped on Dragon Quest XI's. And it takes a lot of DNA from Dragon Quest to basically just create Dragon Quest, but with One Piece characters. So yeah, it's quite fun. Yeah. Angelo, what have you been playing lately?
I've been going through Elden Ring. My partner and I picked it back up about, 5 or 6 weeks ago. We were at level 60 and about 50 hours in or something like that. We are now 130 hours in at level 165. So we have just steamrolled through the damn game. I didn't realize that, so I got to this one point that kind of bottlenecked me. and I just wasn't beating this one particular boss. As soon as I beat him, I realized that I was actually OP for a whole bunch of other bosses that I've been coming across. So I've just been running the gamut, just absolutely slaying everyone. And yeah, we're up to the final boss battle now, in Elden Ring. And yeah, once we get through that, we're going to get right into the DLC. Because yeah, that's the reason why we returned to it, because my partner wanted to get back into Bloodborne, so we did that before this, and she's really getting into the Souls games now, just watching, not really playing them herself. She just likes watching me get my ass kicked. And yeah, she really wanted to get back into Elden Ring, so we've been doing that, and yeah, really enjoying it. But in my off time, which is just bedtime, I've been playing Pikmin 3 on the Wii U in bed, because I want to get into Pikmin 4, because everyone was raving about how underrated that game was for last year, and it's always been in the back of my mind this year. So I'm finally getting back into Pikmin 3, because I never actually finished that game. I only got about halfway through. And yeah, really enjoying it. I just love playing games on the Wii U again, man. Like it's a cursed console, but when it works really well. Having just two screens, one in your hands, one in front of you. It's really good.
Yeah. Michael, what have you been up to?
Not much. I've been playing Hell Let Loose still with a mate, and that's my weekly need to kill some dudes game. And I've been playing through Hades, which I'm having a ton of fun playing through. It's such a goddamn good game. It's one of those games that like
some of that too, yeah.
It's one of those games that like I knew that I would enjoy it, but sort of just like skipped over it, and I was like, yeah, I'll play it eventually. And now that I've started playing it, I'm just like, oh my god, give it to me. Just shove it in my mouth, please. It's amazing. It's like, yeah, if anyone enjoys those types of like games, get on it. It's incredible.
It's such a juicy game, right? Like everything about it is great. The look, the feel, the sound, everything about the game.
The lore, just the story is great. Like it just, all the interactions between all the characters are awesome. Like everything's just really polished.
Alrighty. And Luke, you can't talk too much, but what have you been up to?
So you mentioned Marvel's Rival beta. I played through the Concord beta over the last 2 weekends, and that's a fine game. It's a very slow-paced game compared to something like the Game That Shall Not Be Named and other hero shooters. It's more about running with the right person as much as you can, because again, it's very slow-paced. But it's not for me. But I'm not a multiplayer guy these days, because I just don't have time for spending 80 hours leveling up characters in order to stay competitive and blah blah blah.
I will say,
but it's fine.
I'm like 100% convinced that game is going to flop and be shut down within 2 years.
Bro, everyone, 2 years? That's optimistic.
I think it'll be 2 years just because it is published by Sony. So like they'll try and keep it alive for a little bit, but like it's not.
I don't think they will, because they let that racing game flop straight away. Sure. I can't even think of what it is now. I have it on disc. I got it for $9 on disc.
Oh, is that like Project Cars or something like that?
Is Sony also publishing Concord? Are they publishing 2 hero shooters?
They own the studio. They bought the studio.
Fuck, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But the thing that I loved about Concord, like that reveal trailer, it's like it had like unique looking alien characters, a great sounding world. Like, everything about it was hitting the right notes for me. And then they went, and this competitive 5v5 multiplayer game, and I went,
like I saw the game and I was
literally
like,
the same thing happened to me. I'm watching this, I'm like, this
looks
kind of cool. This looks
I think it literally
funny.
happened to everyone. I was like, okay, no, thank you.
It was like we could probably just chart the graph. Like everyone's like engagement was going up, and then they're like 5v5 hero shooter, boom. No one cared.
It was so frustrating because like watching it, it's like, wow, this is giving like kind of like Beyond Good and Evil vibes. Like it's really interesting and kind of like sci-fi-ish and really fun character writing. And then just
like so when I saw the ship, like the spaceship design, I got like Cowboy Bebop, Irresponsible Captain Tyler, like 80s-esque anime ship design, and I was like, I like that. I'm a fan of that sort of style. So I had like Guardians of the Galaxy, that game that Square Enix did, had the sort of that vibe visually, like with character design and everything. Had like old anime aesthetics, world design, and I'm like, it's just fusing everything together, and then it just completely bombed. Didn't like it after that. What's interesting is that
it's such a solid example of a game that will arrive completely dead on arrival. It's so scary.
If it was free to play, it'd be different, but they want like $60 for it. And there's no battle pass. They just confirmed the other day there's no battle passes. And all the cosmetics you can buy are just cosmetics. There's no gameplay stuff. It's like, okay, cool. Anyone who literally puts out a in-app purchase, whatever you want to call it, for a game, where you pay $5 and you get like the ultimate gun these days, is literally shooting themselves in the foot because nobody will play their game. But yeah, the fact that it's not free to play is really weird to me. It's like, in this day and age, if you want people to play your game and it's a hero shooter, you probably need to be free to play, because
that's the thing, like when
everything else is free to play.
When the game that mustn't be named came out, right? Like that was paid, but like that was of an era where you could charge for that. Now, like even that has gone free to play, and like basically every competitive game like that is free to play because nobody's going to pay for that when there are other alternatives. Right, like Concord's going to come out probably roughly at the same time as Marvel Rivals, and why would you pay $60 for that when you could just play Marvel Rivals instead?
I think it's just really to do with where the industry is right now with all those types of games. If the industry was all those types of games and all of them were paid, then yeah, you could totally do it, not a problem. But there's so many incredible free to play multiplayer shooters, like it's impossible to get people to pay for them when they can just be like, oh well, I'm just going to play this free one.
Yeah, I mean, like even like Apex, Fortnite, and Call of Duty, right? Or PUBG, all four of them are basically the exact same game, but they do things differently. If any one of those four was a paid game, it wouldn't survive.
Yeah, but you also you also don't have time to play those different games, right? Like you usually pick one and that's the thing that you focus on. So if you don't have anything compelling to do above those games, it's impossible to break in.
Yeah.
Sorry,
as an
Angelo.
example of what I was gonna say, as an example of what Luke just said, like Fortnite had a paid mode in it and just cut it. It took them like 5 years, but they just cut it from the game.
Yeah.
My game of choice multiplayer wise for years was Counter-Strike. But then I started not having enough time to keep playing Counter-Strike. So Counter-Strike Source was the last time I put any significant amount of time in. So Counter-Strike 2, like, sorry, I could put it this way. I bowed out of that game before they put like gun charms and crap and skins in. And when they started doing that, I went, okay, I'm never getting back into this game. So even now when I have time for a shooter, I generally will try and play some Battlefield because I just like that more than any. But even then, I don't have enough time to put into Battlefield as much as I would want to, because who has?
I think this is exactly why I enjoy Hell Let Loose so much, because it's a totally different experience to everything else that the majority of people are playing. Like it isn't like any of those games, like whatsoever, which is super nice. And the other thing about that Fortnite thing that Angelo was saying is that paid mode was the mode the game was promoted to be, like that, and the battle royale stuff was just the reaction to PUBG, and they added it on, and now like that's just dominated the entire world, and you can't turn a corner without seeing it.
I am a Fortnite founder because I bought that game when it was in its early access before they added Fortnite Battle Royale, as it was called back then, because I was keen on the game that they were promoting, that they were trying to sell. So yeah.
I do worry with like Fortnite going in the direction that it does now, that it's going to like start to devalue other genres like it did for like online multiplayer shooters. Like, you know, why would you play any other like battle royale game when Fortnite is free and as good as it is? And then like you look at the fact that they're doing like rocket racing now, and like that is basically just like, you know, a Hot Wheels kind of like, you know, racing thing. And like that's super high quality and totally free, and you know they have their Rock Band equivalent, and you know they're doing all sorts of things within the game now. They're like, you can make Fall Guys levels in Fortnite Creative now, and like it won't be long before Fall Guys is just a mode in Fortnite, if I had to guess.
Yeah, Fortnite as a platform is terrifying, like genuinely terrifying.
And like every single time like Epic like buys up either the rights to a game or like the studio behind it, like it's like, okay, well like that's just going to be the next mode in Fortnite. I mean, they even have like a fucking like Minecraft style thing that is Lego. Like
it's meant to be quite good. So
I will say to Ollie, to your point, when I did that whole the garbage on the eShop feature for Vooks. One of the games that I found is literally a Rocket League clone, and they've now put out a deluxe edition of that game. But that game, they wanted $20 for it, and it's like $20 for a cheap, crappy knockoff of a free-to-play game. Like, even if that game was fantastic, which it's not, because you look at it and you go, that doesn't look right. But even if it was fantastic, $20 as against free, no, it just doesn't work. The math does not math there. But they did it with Harmonix. They bought Harmonix years ago to start working on all their in-game Fortnite concert shit. And then, started this year, they said, oh, yeah, we're not doing any more DLC for Rock Band 4. It's all now Fortnite Festival, whatever they call it. It's like, oh, okay. Just, stop supporting the game that works for a game that doesn't work, sure.
Yeah. But, that's how the industry is now, unfortunately.
This is the Vookcast. It's a number one. After me.
Alrighty, let's move on to Nintendo 20 questions. We did miss out last time, which unfortunately means that Luke isn't going to get a go. Sorry. He'll be back with probably a way too difficult game at some point in the future. But today
I've been sitting on this game for like 2 months now because of how sporadic we've been recording. So
yeah. But I have a game picked out. So yeah, hit me with your questions.
Was this released on or after January 1st, 2010? I just want to point out that if Angelo never brought up how much he fucking hates it, I probably wouldn't do it as often as I do. But the fact that it causes you like physical pain, I will never stop doing it.
Okay, no, it was not released on or after January 1st, 2010.
It is a game made in the 90s.
This one was not made in the 90s.
That's how we do it.
That's boring.
So it was either made before the 90s or in the 2000s. Was this game from the 2000s era?
It was from the 2000s era.
I've never asked the question your way, Michael, so I've never actually done it that way.
Disgusting.
Okay, post 12:01 a.m. on January 1st.
So 2000.
What if it was released at exactly midnight? Why would you say that?
So we're looking 64, GameCube, and Wii.
Mm-hmm.
Wii. Sorry, I keep thinking 2011 for Wii for whatever reason. It was 2006.
And the relevant handhelds.
Yeah. Let's just like. Was this released on a home console?
It was released on a home console.
There we go. Okay. 64 GameCube Boy.
Played my Game Boy Advance at home
only, so. Okay, was this released on a disc-based console?
This was released on a disc-based console.
Oh, should we ask if the discs were mini discs? Nah, we don't have to ask that.
I mean, like it. Oh man, the library difference is just so huge, though.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, let's just do it. Was this released on GameCube?
This game was not released on GameCube.
Okay, so it's a Wii game. Cool. All right. Well, that's 10,000 games to go through.
All right. Was this game published by Nintendo?
This game was not published by Nintendo.
Was this game received well?
I can't really give a yes or no answer to that. I'm gonna say I'll just give you a bit of a freebie. It was moderately well received, but it's not like winning any awards.
Okay.
Like people didn't hate it. It wasn't like this is the worst game ever.
That's a question, right? Though we're taking that off the counter, or are you giving that for free?
Oh no, that's a question. Yeah, I answered the question. I just gave more information than yes or no.
So, I mean, it does help because it means it's not some like gutter trash, like bargain bin type stuff, and it's also not something like a Mario Galaxy or I'd say like even like a Mad World or something.
Yeah, it annoyingly covers 80% of the entire Wii library.
It's true. Yeah, it does.
I will point out my brain has gone to Alibis from Konami. That's my My brain's
Mine
sitting at the moment.
mine went to Zack and Wiki.
Yeah, we've
done Zack and Wiki before.
We have, haven't we?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've done Mad World as well.
Yeah, I think both of those are mine, actually, now I think about it. Maybe.
Fuck, how good is Zack and Wiki? Just slight tangent.
It's so good,
God,
man.
that was a great game.
What a banger. I want that to
Yeah.
come back. Bring that back.
Was this game developed in Japan?
This game was not developed in Japan.
Okay.
Go, Luke.
Was this game published by Electronic Arts?
It was published by Electronic Arts.
Damn. That's a slam dunk. That's
And
still
that's still like
80% of the
40.
library.
Because if we ignore all their sports, there's a bunch of My Sims, Sim
I was gonna say
Creator.
My Sims.
There was Boogie, Boom Blocks.
Boom Blocks. I just got asked about Boom Blocks last night out of nowhere by a friend. How good was Boom Blocks? OMG.
I just love that they tried marketing it. I mean, it's technically true, but they tried marketing it as Steven Spielberg's Boom Blocks. It's like
It's right there
nobody
on
in
the
the
cover.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, but nobody in
it's-
the game he gave a shit the fact that it was Steven Spielberg's Boom Blocks. Like,
Well, it's going back to before the podcast, we were talking about Animaniacs. Just like Animaniacs, it's Steven Spielberg's Animaniacs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Same thing. He just funded a bunch of offbeat projects.
They did the same thing for The Dig as well in the 90s.
oh yeah. All right.
Could be a rock band game, funnily enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could ask
they
if it's got
published-
multiplayer.
Yeah?
Does this game feature multiplayer?
Yes, it actually does. I wasn't 100% sure, but I have the Wikipedia page in front of me, so yes, it does.
Does Boom Blocks have multiplayer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played it with a lot of friends.
Was this game built around motion controls?
It was not built around motion controls.
Okay, so not Boom Blocks.
And not Boogie either.
The rare Wii game with no motion controls. At least not built around it.
Did like My Sims and stuff have much motion control? I haven't
Don't
played it.
recall it. Don't recall
Probably
it.
like, I'd imagine they had like pointer control. Can we, just as
Maybe.
a consensus, this isn't a question, just do we count pointer controls on the Wii and Wii U as motion controls?
I probably would.
I would say so,
Yeah.
yeah. Like if pointing is like kind of the main point of it, right? Then
Okay.
Don't know if Sin City
oh,
Creator
man.
had motion controls because that was on the Wii. Don't know if we've had it or not, but there's Dead Space Extraction for the Wii.
But that was pointer control.
yeah, we're saying there's not motion
I'm
control.
trying to
yeah,
remember,
sorry.
I'm trying to remember games that wouldn't have pointer control. And I feel like a lot of those EA games, like, that was their thing. They were just like, there's a new motion control. Let's just have every single thing have motion control.
Yeah.
I mean, for a
so
while
that's
there,
why I'm-
Tiger Woods was the Wii was the lead platform for Tiger Woods because of the motion control.
Could ask if the game was a port. Because if it doesn't have motion controls, if it was a bespoke game for the Wii and it didn't have motion controls, that is.
That's if it was a
super
port
weird.
or if it. Oh, I guess if you can't really ask if it released on other platforms because like if it's an EA game, 9.9 times out of 10 it's going to be on a different platform as well.
Yeah. Was this game exclusive for the Wii?
It was not exclusive for the Wii.
Yeah.
Because that knocks out a few of the My Sims, because that didn't hit like Xbox 360 and all that. SimCity created and didn't. SSX.
How many questions do we have left?
I think it's 7 and a guess.
Okay.
I got 6 and a guess.
6 and a guess, there you go.
So could it be a sports game? Oh, is it NBA Jam?
that would have.
question.
I know that.
Is that your guess?
No. Sorry, I'm talking amongst the brain trust.
I don't even remember when NBA Jam came out. Like the
that was
new
like-
one.
That was like 2010, 2011, actually. Damn.
Yeah, that was late Wii.
Did it come on Wii?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
It came on a disc. It was online only for the other platforms, but it was on disc for Wii. At least I recall there being a disc.
Does this game feature combat?
Yeah, this game features combat.
Okay, that makes this so much harder.
Did this game come out initially in retail?
This game did come out in retail, yeah.
Damn, okay. I was wondering if it was like a WiiWare game.
Just trying to think about, like, they had Need for Speeds and that, but I don't think any of them had combat.
Is this a licensed game?
This is a licensed game.
What
Okay.
are some licensed EA games that aren't sports?
Madden, Tiger Woods, NHL.
Oh, but wait, because I'd imagine you wouldn't have picked a like NHL 2008 or something.
I'd be amazed if it's a sports game. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
just because of Ollie.
Yeah, I don't think he's that much of a freak.
Oh man. Let's have licensed game.
Licensed game with multiplayer and combat.
With
That's what it
with
says.
multiplayer. That's the hard part. Like I was thinking like maybe like a Harry Potter or something, but did any of the Harry Potter games have like a multiplayer mode? I don't know.
Don't recall them having multiplayer.
But they also had motion controls.
Yeah, so Half-Blood
Yeah, they
Prince
would have for sure.
and then Deathly Hallows 1 and 2 all had motion control on the Wii.
Yeah. Or the
That was the whole thing. So like, wave your motion control like a wand.
Yeah. What about is there like a beat 'em up? I'm thinking like a Turtles kind of thing. That EA
No,
did?
Ubisoft were doing those
Maybe.
games at the time.
Was there a oh, this would have motion controls though, I'm pretty sure. Was it like a Spore game? I feel like that's around the time Spore came out, right?
Yeah, I was
Big
thinking
Spore
the same sort
time?
of thing, but that would have been.
But
quite a
that's
difficult-
surely gonna have motion controls 100%.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, there were 2 Spore games on the Wii. And the only reason I know this is because I picked the DS game a few episodes back.
That was a
That'd be
good one.
hilarious if Ollie's picked the Wii game. Oh god.
Oh man.
Can always ask if we mentioned the game. I don't know if we've mentioned many specific ones within our.
I feel like probably now's probably a good time to do it
Yeah.
because I feel like we've mentioned quite a few at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have we mentioned the game?
You have not mentioned the game.
Oh, fuck, we're fucked. I'm running out of games to even think of. Oh my god. And it's licensed.
I'm trying to think about what games that they did. And I keep going back to sports.
We haven't ruled out if it is a sport game. You could ask if it's.
Yeah, we could ask. If it's a sports game, I'm gonna be very
Sports
angry
game.
with myself.
Sports game with combat.
Oh,
Oh god, here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
The Godfather.
The Godfather.
They have
The
multiplayer.
backhand edition or the blackhand edition. So the
I
Godfather.
don't even know the hell you're talking about.
There was
I know
there was the
what you're talking
Scarface game for Vivendi Universal,
Yeah.
and then like
Yeah.
a year later, the Godfather game came out.
Did it have
It's
multiplayer,
basically. I honestly couldn't tell you.
I'm trying to remember even seeing that on a shelf. Like,
I
yeah,
have it.
maybe-
It's in my tub of games.
Yeah, I remember it coming out, and I remember Scarface coming out before it.
I remember
it was like-
Scarface, funnily enough. I don't really remember the Godfather game.
Because there was that weird period where they were trying to put like more adult-oriented games on this kid-friendly console.
Do you know
Or as they
anything
called
about it?
Back in the day, hardcore games.
The only thing I can tell you about it is it did fairly well. It was kind of like a mix between Grand Theft Auto and Mafia.
Yeah, right.
There was a heap of Sims games though. Like, there was
But
My
Sims isn't licensed, right?
No.
Does that count as licensed? Yeah, so Godfather
I mean,
lines up
technically
with
no.
that.
Right, you're
But-
right.
Oh, hang on. Didn't EA do? Oh, what's that Johnny Depp one? The animated one. He did it in between the
Rango.
Pirates movies.
Rango.
Is it Rango?
Yeah,
Didn't they
one
do a
with the
game
chameleon?
for that?
I don't even know when that came out. Was
I
it?
don't know when that came out either.
It's like 2010, 2011 or something. Wait, but
Because I know it was between Pirates 1 and 2, because the director, it was the same.
I think it was
Levinsky.
I think it was maybe a little bit later, like early 2010s.
Yeah, it was definitely around that time.
Okay.
Yeah, and not like the 2000s.
I can't remember. Is this game licensed or not?
It is licensed, yeah.
Oh, it is licensed. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So I feel like Godfather. Does anyone know any details about Godfather that we can ask?
Okay.
I mean, are you made an offer you can't refuse?
Well, you could just ask if it's based on a film.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
So the licensed properties are based on a film, Ollie?
No.
Okay.
Oh, what? Okay. Wow, that was like my last hope.
Yeah.
Not based on a film.
It's just one question, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I'm not been keeping track.
I mean, I have for obvious reasons. I mean, that knocks out all the Harry Potter stuff.
It's
Technically, Need for
licensed
Speed's now
game.
based on a film because there was that film. Not true, but
I guess all we have are either like sports or cartoons. I just wasn't playing many EA games on the Wii at this time. Any EA games I was playing were like on Xbox and stuff, like Mass Effect.
So it could either be based on a film, sorry, not a film, sorry, a TV show, or like maybe like a toy property or something like that, like a toy line, which used to do a lot of those fucking games, like a Bratz game or some shit like that.
hang on, toy line.
If he chose a Bratz game, I am offing him.
Fuck me. Hasbro. There was a Hasbro multiplayer party game thing. Like you had like Connect 4 and all that sort of shit inside a. It's like Monopoly, like a Monopoly board game, but like digital. Was that one.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Because I was thinking like
Sure,
EA...
but surely that has motion controls though.
Yeah,
that seems like a prime motion control game.
But we didn't ask if it had motion controls. We asked if it was built around motion controls.
I just, look, I want to give you a bit of a freebie here, but like, let's be real. Does that game have combat?
Oh yeah, okay. I forgot about that part.
I mean, Battleship.
Just wanted to remind you.
Yeah, it's Battleship, Connect 4.
Yeah.
I thought I was onto something for a second.
I cannot think of a single goddamn thing.
I think we've just gotten ourselves in the wrong direction somehow, and maybe I don't know.
Okay, well we have one question, so we can either ask if you can ask if it's based on a TV show, then we can at least know that, or we can ask if it's based on I don't know, like a toy line or something like that. I've got no idea.
Is there like a weird licensing situation, like how BioWare did that Sonic DS game, but BioWare is owned by EA, so technically it'd be like a licensed game? Is there like a similar situation?
I don't think BioWare were owned by EA back then.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Fucking hell.
Okay, never mind.
So, did we say it has motion control or it doesn't have motion control?
It doesn't feature motion control.
No, it's not primarily based on motion control.
Okay.
Like, it's not the main point of the game.
Yeah, okay.
So probably like
Seriously.
pointer controls are like the menus and things like that, but then like you're just flipping that thing sideways and using buttons.
Yeah.
Kind of like Super Mario, not Super Paper Mario.
Can I ask this TV? Oh, TV or toys? Oh man, it's such a 50-50. I've got no idea. I'm gonna do okay. I want to do toys because it's just so out there. Like if it's a toy game, that really like narrows it down.
But Toys
Like,
to
there's
Life
only-
wouldn't even. Oh, I guess it doesn't have to be Toys to Life, right?
Oh yeah, not toys. I mean like like
It's
a
based on
Hasbro or whatever. Like Luke was saying.
Yeah, just do it, man. We're lost.
All right, was this game based on a toy line?
It was not based on a toy line.
Oh, I got no idea. Like,
I mean-
are we? It's either like we're getting closer, like we actually are like narrowing it down, or like Angelo said, we've just gone completely rogue and we're nowhere near it.
Do we count the Wii Fit balance board as motion controls? Because they did a whole bunch of fitness games.
I
But when did they
I
come
know
out,
that,
though?
Like, notably that it was not on other platforms, and you know that this game was on other platforms. Wii Fit was definitely not multi-platform.
Yeah, that's right. It is multi-platform as well.
No, but the EA stuff, they bought it on Xbox because they used the camera and all that shit. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I actually can't even think of a game that is not a toy game, not a film game. I guess it could be TV, but I can't even think of like a TV thing from back then that I would remember, that I actually remember.
There's like NCIS and Law and Order and stuff.
Man, the NCIS game and Law and Order game, I forgot about those. Holy shit.
They were Ubisoft though.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
okay. Like THQ or something.
So I'm pretty sure there's one of those random celebrity mini games, but I don't know if that was EA. You know, at the moment it's like the YouTube stars games, but it's like a thing. But I don't know. I know nothing about it. I just have a vague recollection of it.
Is there like a MasterChef thing with Gordon Ramsay or something?
Does anyone have like a guess that we can just throw out there that fits all these boxes? I can't even think of anything.
Nah. Literally, like the like dozens of circles to create that Venn diagram. I can like pinpoint what the center of that is.
It's like 400 circles,
and there's a teeny little space in the middle.
The overlap is like a microscopic dot.
The center is just my Sims.
Oh man, if it's my Sims after, just guess my Sims, because if it is, like, that's incredible.
We know it's licensed, and Sims is their own property.
Fuck, I've got no clue. Like, genuinely no idea.
Is there like My Sims Kim Kardashian edition or something? Because that could be licensed. Who knows?
Thankfully, that was before that family was a blight on society. So
no, not Kim Kardashian though. She was huge.
So,
by like 2005.
if it is licensed though, like, is TV the only other thing that it could be? Am I missing? I guess it could be a book. That's weird though.
We've definitely brought out EA films and toys. So.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that celebrity one, but I can't think of what it's called. And again, I don't know if it was EA or not, because THQ were prolific at licensing crap.
I mean, if you don't know the name, I'll at least like guess that celebrity game. Like, I will go with that at least, because I've got nothing.
So at the risk of
celebrity slapdown or something.
At the risk of running even further over time, let's just break down what we have so far. So it's a multi-platform game that doesn't feature motion controls. It's licensed. What else? Has multiplayer.
Yeah. Isn't based on a film franchise or a toy franchise.
Yeah, it's licensed, but not based on toys or film. What is this game?
Developed by EA, obviously.
Developed by EA.
Yeah.
No idea.
I've generally got nothing. I'm happy for Luke to guess that celebrity game, whatever the hell that is.
That celebrity game.
So that narrows it down. I think I can. Again, it's like Celebrity Slapdown or something like that. It's one of those bullshit party games that followed like Wii Party from Nintendo. There was a whole like range of this crap, you know,
well, but
quickly made.
He also said it wasn't terribly received either. It was like just kind of middling.
Yeah, I feel like if that was like a weird celebrity like game, surely that reviewed like so poorly.
The thing is, I don't know anything about it, so I couldn't tell you. I just remember selling it because there was a whole bunch of those peripheral-based games around at the time as well.
Also, that definitely feels like one of those games that definitely is based around motion controls.
Yeah, that's true.
But I've got no idea. Like, this is like the only thing I can think of. Or not,
Yeah.
no, sorry. I didn't even think of it. It's the only thing that someone else thought of.
Yeah. Thanks, I hate it, Ollie.
So yeah,
you want yourself so bad.
Yeah.
Is this that celebrity game that I'm thinking of that don't know the name of?
Pull into my brain. Is it this game?
This is the best guess we've ever made.
Alrighty. So, released in 2007, shortly after the release of a movie, but notably not based on that movie. I really want to point that out.
Oh, here we go. Technicalities.
You'll see why. You'll see why. This is a platform game that was released on the Xbox 360, PS2, PS3, PSP, Nintendo DS, and Wii. The The PS3 and Xbox 360 versions were made by EA Redwood Shores, and the Wii, etc. versions were made by Rebellion Developments. It is the Simpsons game.
I didn't even know there was a version for Wii. So.
Yeah, there was a version for everything.
I barely remember that game existed.
I remember it came out.
So it came out like
for it on 360 and stuff, but I had no idea.
It's on Luke's shelf somewhere. He's hunting for it. He's getting ready to like be angry about it.
Yeah, it came out about 2 months after the Simpsons movie, and yeah, it was not based on the movie at all. It was just a completely original story.
Yeah, it was just a Simpsons game.
Yeah, there was a sequel planned as well, but never came out.
It's behind me on the shelf somewhere because I bought a copy of it for like $5 recently.
And yeah, notably, Rebellion Development, who made the Wii and PSP versions, also I believe worked on Simpsons Hit and Run, right? That was the thing.
No. Simpsons Hit and Run was.
People from it worked on that. I can't remember. It was like Vivendi Universal that made Simpsons Hit and Run, but
Radical Entertainment. That's who did it.
Right. Yeah. But then some of the people worked at Rebellion Developments, which is a British developer.
Yeah. They do the Sniper Elite series. It's probably the one they're most known for.
Yeah. So yeah, I really thought that you guys would get that. Because The Simpsons are so big and so like integral to Australian culture too. But
for sure, it's one of those games where like, yeah, I'm sure it came out, but it had zero impact, right? Like you would just never remember it actually existing.
I remembered it.
The film came out, and that was a somewhat of a hit. It's like kind of like a middling hit. It wasn't a huge one, but like the game didn't hit hard at all.
I actually remember the cover. Like I remember seeing it on shelves. Like now you've mentioned it, but like I would never.
Yeah. So I think the most notable thing about the Simpsons game is that the Wii version and the PSP version were like very, very similar because they were made by the same developer. They were kind of like very slightly cut down versions of the PS3 version, but the PSP got a special yellow special edition console to tie in with the game.
That was
the PSP that I had as a child with that game.
Okay.
So yeah, this one's been sticking in my head for a while, and I was like,
it's a good one because like it really isn't that difficult. It's just one of those like oft forgotten games.
It just fell out of our brains, because like when I played the demo for that game, it was on the Xbox 360, and it was like a month or two after I got it, because I got it around Boxing Day 2007, because it was cheaper then. And I was just playing so many demos because like the Wii didn't have demos or anything like that, and then Xbox was still holding demos. Releasing demos on the marketplace. So I was just playing demo after demo after demo, and that was one of them. That like Iron Man and stuff like that. And it completely blanked from my mind that it even came out on Wii. I do not remember that game being on Wii.
Yeah. But yeah, it also does have a 2-player split screen co-op because every level had 2 characters available to it. So yeah, it's an alright game.
With a lot of multiplayer games in the 2000s, like they tended to be basically the same game. But then when it came to Wii versus next gen at the time, they were like 2 different games. So like, was the Simpsons game on the Wii the same?
It was largely the same. There were a couple things where it was like pared back a bit, where like on the PS3, like all of the worlds were kind of like a bit more open and more connected, whereas like there were loading screens on the Wii and PSP versions. But for the most part, like the gameplay is largely identical. The worlds that you visit, the powers that you have, all of that stuff is pretty much the same. There's just like some minor differences on the PSP and Wii version. The Nintendo DS version is completely different. It's a platformer, side-scrolling platformer. But yeah. So yeah, finally I picked a game that you couldn't guess. I feel like I've picked some like way more obscure games in the past, and you've still managed to get them. And this kind of
but that's the thing, right? Obscure games like stick in your brain. Like this is just so middle of the road that it just I wouldn't even give it a second thought.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that about wraps up this episode of the Vookcast. Be sure to visit the site www.vooks.net for all your Nintendo news, reviews, and everything in between. And to keep up to date, follow us on Twitter @Vooks.net or jump on over to our Discord at bit.ly/VooksDiscord. You can find all of our social information and links for all of the stories covered in this episode in the episode notes on whatever platform you're listening to. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next show.